Hey VanChurch family, it's the last week of May and I just wanted to give you a quick update about our decision-making process in thinking about gathering together again at our building in the coming weeks. First of all, just thank you so much for your response on the survey that we sent out. Your responses and your input are so helpful and appreciated. As you can imagine, in a community as diverse as ours, there were multiple perspectives expressed. And there were some significant trends and indicators in your responses. First of all, when it comes to the thought of being back together again in our building for our large group worship gatherings, the responses were split almost equally among three groups. About a third of you aren't anxious at all about that idea at this time. About a third are anxious or really anxious, and about a third of you say that you're not planning on participating in gatherings yet at this time. But when it comes to gathering in smaller groups, only about 25% of you say that you don't plan to participate yet. But the rest of you indicated that you are interested in doing something in smaller groups as soon as we can, even though we all feel varying levels of anxiety around that. So what that tells us is that when it's appropriate to start having in-person gatherings again, doing so in smaller groups at first is probably the right place to start. And of course, we'll take all the recommended precautions to do that in a responsible way when the time comes. Second, more than half of the responses said that they're uncomfortable with the idea of handshakes and hugs and being all up in each other's business right now. And what that means is that when we get back together in person, we're going to have to be sensitive and respectful to each other. We're not going to shame anyone for wanting to be cautious. We're not going to shame anyone who's eager for contact. We are going to be as clear as we can in providing specific directions about how we enter into our space with one another. Many of you made comments about wanting us to do that, and in particular, there was strong support for making sure that we're extra intentional about how we participate in communion together. So we're planning to think through those things and do them the best ways that we can. Our commitment in loving one another is to err on the side of being cautious rather than reckless. God would not have us prove how strong our faith is by endangering one another unnecessarily. When the time comes, we will be intentional. We will communicate clearly, and we will have expectations and guidelines in place because we care about each other. With all that in mind, and with the current information we have available from local health and regional health officials, our decision at this time is to not yet return to our building for on-site in-person gatherings. I know that we're all eager to be back together again as soon as we can, but we just can't provide an environment yet under the present circumstances and restrictions that will allow us to gather safely and responsibly. You have my word that as soon as we feel that we can do so, we will move forward. In the meantime, I hope and pray that our online services will continue to be a blessing to you. And I want to remind you about our opportunity on Sunday morning to join in a live fellowship time online on Zoom, hosted by some of our shepherding couples. Links to those Zoom meetings will be sent out in an email from VanChurch toward the end of this week. And now may you be well, may you be courageous and filled with hope that there are good days ahead. And in the meantime, may you be sane and whole in your mind and in your heart. May you have patience with those around you, and may your heart and your home be full of laughter and joy.